Valley, hooey Hollywood. Where any office
Welcome in, everybody, to another week of That Movie Show. Mike Wendt and Eddie McCabe taking you through another week of movie talk. Eddie, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm doing great. You know, I spent the weekend working down in New York City.
I was following your exploits on Instagram. I was kind of jealous.
Yeah. So it was a roller coaster of emotion, right?
Yeah.
So it was a ton of fun. I was there working. We have a theater down there, and so we have an event coming up at the end of the month that I have to be there for, and I had never seen the space, and so I went down there to just check it out, see what the thing was. I ended up watching a thing where it was an improvised musical.
Mm-hmm.
So the audience gives this company one suggestion, and then they do a completely improvised musical. It was a ton of fun. It was based on like gum, and I laughed so hard.
Did you say it was based on gum?
Gum.
Chewing
right?
gum.
It was chewing gum.
Gotcha.
So they were trying to save this town, really convoluted, kind of one of those you had to be there. But the bad guys in this were Baskin Robbins, the like ice cream company. But
these were audience suggestions? Is that what I'm gathering?
So they just got the one audience suggestion, and then they just go from there.
All right.
And the people that owned Baskin Robbins in this play were Carol Baskins and Tim Robbins. And it was, I laughed very, very hard. Went on a huge, long hike and saw the Bethesda Fountain, which was something that was really, really fun. It's at the end of the mall in Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to, like, you're walking around and it's like, oh, this is where they did the scene at the end of the Avengers.
Right.
Like the first one where, like, Loki is, like, getting taken to Asgard and all that stuff. And it's like, oh, and then down there, like, through those steps, there's two scenes that I vividly remember. One is at the end of John Wick, where they all murder that girl by, like, standing in that circle. They're like, "Oh, you died. You're." And in
this
Doctor
is
Who, yeah, this is the way. In Doctor Who, they go to New York, and one of the characters gets abducted by, like, an alien thing in that same location. And then the Bethesda Fountain, which is absolutely beautiful. Went and saw that. Went to one of the oldest bars, if not the oldest bar in America.
Okay. Is that the one you sent me pictures of?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called McSorley's.
Yeah.
And they have two types of beer. It's your type of place, right? Because they got two types of beer, light and dark, and that's it. That's it.
Love it.
They give you, and I think I posted a picture on Instagram. I know I sent you a photo,
Right.
but they give it to you like one beer is 2 mugs. Like the mugs aren't like that big.
Okay, so because you sent me the picture, and I just assumed, because we started texting, I didn't really ask you about the beers. I assumed that you were just with a group of people from the theater because there was 4 beers in the picture. Yeah. So each one of those is actually one thing?
Yeah, so two of the mugs is 1 beer. So that was really just 2 beers.
Oh,
and that was a total of $8.
I love it. Where is this again?
So it's in New York City. It's McSorley's, and it's on I forget the street name.
Gotcha.
But it's fantastic. And then
it's on Google.
It's on Google. Because my friend on like the street next door. But it's survived Prohibition. It's been there forever. You walk in and it's an old cop bar, right? So they have like all sorts of like police badges and weird shit on the walls.
Sure.
It's beautiful. It's awesome. It's the old-timey bar. Sawdust all over the floor. Sure. Like it was absolutely bananas. And then I went to the 9/11 memorial.
Right.
After, and I had never seen it before. The last time I was like in that area, they were still cleaning up. Right. So, because that was a thing. And basically, it's absolutely beautiful. It's extremely peaceful, which is crazy because you're in the middle of New York City and you walk in and there's just so much green and so many trees. Right. And then in the space where the towers actually were, there are these fountains, and it's basically just this giant hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And then it like like water pours down into the floor, and then there's a bigger hole in the center, and it all goes in there, and it looks like it just goes down into the center of the earth.
Right.
But around the outside of it, where you like stand at the railing, there is everybody's name that was like in that building.
Sure.
And the most like gut-wrenching, heartfelt thing that I saw while I was there was the people that run the memorial put a rose inside the name. So like it's like the person's name, but it's like engraved, and so there's like, and they stick a rose there on their birthday.
Oh wow.
And it's like, oh, that's so like, because I'm standing there and I'm like, hey, what, what's this?
Sure, what's this? Yeah.
And then there was a sign, and I was like, oh my God. I thought it was the family.
Right,
I thought like the family would come and like did that. But then I saw like a couple others, and it's just like, oh no, the memorial, they put a rose on for their birthday. And it's like, oh, that's the most depressing thing that's the most depressing thing.
I've been to New York since then, but I didn't go by there. It just wasn't.
It's really far south.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's sad, and
it's sad.
The whole thing. I get it, but it was like it wasn't that trip. That wasn't the trip I was on that weekend.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I happened to be walking by Trump Tower, and there was a guy in a Donald Trump mask and suit just like wandering around taking pictures, which makes more sense than like the Mickey Mouse.
Okay, I was going to ask. So basically, like Mickey Mouse down in Times Square, it was just Donald Trump. Okay,
in front of Trump Tower, and it's like this makes more sense because that's the thing that always just annoys me about the characters.
Yeah,
that are like in Times Square is that like none of these characters are associated with Times Square.
Right.
Like you just put on a costume and are just trying to grift people out of money.
Like the only one I think I can give a pass to that I've seen a few times is like Spider-Man.
Sure, Spider-Man is a New York thing. Mickey Mouse.
The hilarious part is they're always like those Party City knockoff costumes that it's like if you Google like original Disney costumes from like 1942, the creepy fucking looking Mickey and Donald's. Yeah. That's what they have. It's kind of it's I don't know.
Well, the one that also annoys me too,
and it's a grift. It's an annoying grift when you're trying to walk.
It's a very annoying grift. The problem, we're Disney people. We've talked about it a million times on this show, and like the way that Disney does it is like Mickey Mouse, like he leaves, and when he leaves, there's like a carpet, right, for the backstage area. So you're not allowed to break character until you're off of that carpet backstage.
Right.
And like it's purposely designed so that you're like really far out of view of guests.
Of course.
So that like no kid is going to see Mickey Mouse take his head off.
Right.
Like that sort of thing. And these people, and again, I don't blame them. It was 100 degrees out in Times Square.
Sure.
But it's like, Mickey Mouse is like sitting there and he just has the head up and off. And he's just sitting there, and then like he sees a kid, he puts it down and like, oh, and it's just like, oh, you just suck. You suck. Everything about you.
Where's your pride?
I was walking, and this guy tried to give me his CD.
I've had that happen, yeah.
And I looked at him, and I was just like so confused.
Right.
And he looks at me, and he goes, "Yo, man, don't be afraid of a black man." And I'm like, "No, I'm not afraid of a black man. I'm confused as to why you're handing me a CD in 2021. Even if I wanted this, I don't have anything to play it."
Yeah, there might be a DVD player here. I'm not 100%.
You know what I mean?
I'm just thinking where I am now in Florida, because I didn't bring all my shit with me, and my computer. Oh, you know what? The laptop, but I don't think the CD drive works anymore on that because it's so fucking old. My computer doesn't have one.
Nope. My laptop that I'm on, my desktop, they don't have disk drives.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The car. You know what? I could play it in my car.
Yeah, I don't have one in my car.
I have a CD player in my car. However, it's where where the slot, I'm using it to hold my phone, basically.
Sure.
You know, instead of an air vent thing, it's in the CD holder thing.
Okay.
The CD slot.
Yeah,
thing.
it's like, I guess technically my Xbox or PlayStation could play it.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think there's a DVD player down here.
You know what I mean? But it's like I understand. I know the
get
game.
It. Yeah.
You know, I know the game. You're
on
just,
a hustle. I get it.
Yeah. I grabbed the CD. And then you're like, that's $15, man.
Right. It's the Virgil trick.
Right.
Hey, man, want to take a picture? Cool. Now give me $20.
Yeah, right.
Not how that works.
That's not how that works, man. So
How
it's
much
like,
you
I
pay
understand.
me?
Because if you were actually smart, you would just hand out like a business card with a Spotify thing on it.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Figure out those QR codes, man.
More people would listen to your music, but that's not the goal.
But that's not the goal. You can't grift people out of $10.
Yeah.
You can't scare the tourists into giving you $10.
Yeah, it's like, man, no. But again,
if you were actually a musician, business cards would be a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
But if you're just trying to scam people out of $10, here's a blank CD with my fucking sticker on it.
Yeah.
Because there's no music on it.
It has two songs on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you made two songs. It's like, you're not actually trying to be a musician, man.
I would be floored if there was actual music on it. If he actually spent the time to burn all those CDs. Again, in 2021, burning a CD seems fucking foreign. But
yeah.
I mean, I would pass it off as he went to CVS, bought 100 fucking spindle of CDs, and printed off labels.
Yeah. I mean, it'd have to be, but it was just like, I just looked at him. I'm like, I don't even have anything to play this on. Like, because if you were actually trying to be a musician, I would actually, like, if you handed me a thing being like, hey, man, check me out on Spotify, I probably would. And you'd probably, like, make more money because, like, people would play a song, you know what I mean? Right. And it's about volume at that point, right? Because, like, let's just say you get 10 cents for every play, and you just have the song's not good. Like, the songs aren't good at all.
That's not the point.
Right.
Good or bad, you push play.
Right. You push play. It was 1 million, and 1 million people did it, and I get 10 cents for it. You know what I mean? Like, you're too short-sighted.
Right.
Printing out CDs in 2021 like an asshole, and then expecting me to have a player. That's the most audacious part of this whole thing. It's not that you're trying to, like, make a buck. Like, good on you, man. Whatever hustle works.
Sure.
Like, my personal.
At least you're not wearing a bootleg Mickey head.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I respect the dude that's like, hey, man, I, like, in theory, put some effort into, like, making music.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or I also respect, because I used to do it all the time in high school, was, like, go down and buy one of the cases of water and then sell each one for $1. You buy, and so, like, you just sit on the highway, or, like, right off the highway on rush hour traffic in July, walk up and down, hey, bottle of water for $1. You go from $5 for the case of water, $36.
I used to, in high school, sell cigarettes, buck a pack out of the trunk like Henry Hill.
Sure, man. So, like, I totally get it, man. Yep. Like, make the money.
We all had our high school hustles.
Yeah. A fun one that people always had was the Krispy Kreme. So, like, when Krispy Kreme came to, like, Boston, which apparently they're gonna, like, try again.
Good luck.
Like, again, the problem is that they expanded too fast, right? If you just had, like, a handful of locations in, like, key spots, they would have survived and they would have been able to expand. The problem was, like, we're going to match Dunkin' Donuts. It's like, the fuck you are.
Well, that was the other problem is, at least the one I knew, because when the one in Saugus came, I was still living in Linfield, and, like, they put it right next to a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to put that where there is a demand for coffee and donuts, not where there's already it's being filled. Because let's be honest, it's basically the same shit.
Oh, it is. The donuts are way better.
But they have to be warm, right? So you got to wait. You got to be driving by at that exact time when the fucking light's on, and half the time the light was never on. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm not doing a special trip.
Right. Good. Well, because that was the thing is I knew there were two. One
You
was
can microwave a glazed donut. No, I'm good.
yeah, because there was one that was in where it's a Kelly's now,
Right.
near like the Encore over in like Everett and Malden or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
And then there was one out in Dedham. So
Okay.
like, and it's like yeah, like a situation like that, kind of like Sonic. Like Sonic blows, but
I've never been, but people seem to love it. Again, the one that opened in Peabody when I was living in Linfield, that line was down the highway. It was down Route 1 forever. Like it wasn't like an opening weekend thing. It's like for a solid month, there was always traffic going into that parking lot.
There still is, you know what I mean? Like you go there because
it's hot dogs and slush, right?
Right, and
I've seen the commercials.
It's fast food, hot dogs and slush. It's not even like
America,
you know. But and so like they've expanded, and there are other ones in Massachusetts and the New England area, and it's like that's a smarter business plan. I'm going to get everybody excited coming to this one location, as opposed to now there's a million of them and there's no demand for it because, Kelly's ran into that problem. Kelly's Roast Beef ran into that problem because they were super hot shit when it was obviously Revere. Yep. And then they put the one out in Jordan's in the Natick Mall.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was the second location, right? Mm-hmm. And so like when they built that Jordan's Furniture in Natick, they put a Kelly's Roast Beef in there. And it was like, this is great. There are two places you can get Kelly's Roast Beef. Right. And so it makes the demand for that higher. And then they were like, and now we're Papagino's and we're everywhere. Yeah. And the quality diminished.
The quality went down. The prices went up.
Right. And then there was one in every block. And now you're synonymous with, Papagino's and McDonald's. Right. And all of a sudden you just like, this isn't as special. And then you figure out that Andy has that roast beef, like beef madness nonsense. Right. And I just started going to those places. Yep. I don't think he listens to this show, but it was just like, that man, he's doing the Lord's work when he's not getting put in Facebook jail. And
every week. He still is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He still is. He's working off the girl account now, Mandy.
That's so funny. Also, that is the funniest thing in the world, that he has a female version of himself, and he basically just catfishes people.
The fucked up thing is, as he's told the story on the other podcast I do, it's a fucking Snapchat filter of him.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing. That's what I looked. When he, I was like, oh, that's funny. And I was like, oh, he probably just picks like some supermodel or something and put it up there. And then he was like, no, I did the like hot chick filter. And then I was just like, oh, I gotta fucking see this. I gotta see it.
And the messed up thing is he's not subtle online. No. It's like he is open about, like, he's posting videos of himself from that account, and people will still DM him. Oh, like, hey, what's up? It's like, are you kidding me?
Well, so here's the this is
his occupation. Literally says, I think, fuck puppet at land and sea.
Yeah. But I mean, people are just stupid. So the New Age Insiders had a character that we had created called Frog Balor.
Yes.
And basically, it was at the height of when the wrestler Finn Balor was down in their developmental brand the first time, like originally. Yep. And the wrestling community, their whole deal was they were like, everything will be solved on the main roster if Finn Balor comes up. So Chris does a character that basically sounds like Kermit the Frog. Right? Like that was the impersonation of all of those, like it was Finn Balor guy, basically. It's and it sounded like Kermit the Frog. So another one of our fans ended up making a Kermit the Frog puppet. Well, he bought the puppet, but then painted it to look like the wrestler Finn Balor, where his face paint made it look like that. And so we made a Twitter and Facebook account, and some fucking idiot, like some girl, and I mean, God bless her, but something's got to be not right, because she thought that even though it is extremely clear that this is a frog puppet, like the only time that a picture of the wrestler is on any of that page or social media is when we physically met him to give him a puppet.
Right.
Like that was it, and it was like him with the puppet. Like
that puppet had a run for a minute though, because there was pictures on his Twitter of him like in other cities with that puppet on his fucking hand.
He loves that puppet. He absolutely loves that puppet.
I know it wasn't him, and I think it might have been Chris at an indie show where I saw the puppet get thrown into a battle royal once.
Yep, at Chaotic.
And it had an entrance. It had an entrance and everything.
Yeah,
entrance video.
I made the entrance video. Yeah, it was a Chaotic Wrestling show. The puppet was so over that it was in the battle royal.
Royal, and it was Chris just throwing the goddamn thing, right?
Yeah, he just tossed the puppet in the ring, and then Scotty Slade, a friend of ours, basically did the the Cobra thing,
yeah.
Like the frog was like possessed, like took over his hand and like possessed him for a while.
Gotcha. So what did this girl do before we jump into the movie?
Oh, she was basically trying to like
bang the frog.
Bang Finn Balor. She thought that the frog was like Finn Balor's like account.
Jesus Christ.
And it's just like, and it was funny because I wake up in the middle of the night, but the next morning. Yeah. And I noticed, like, because we share the account, right? It's all three of us. We share all the account. And Bill got bored and started, like, fucking with her.
Sure.
And so, and it's just like, he's not even being subtle about it. Like, he's hitting as many frog puns as he possibly can. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember off the top of my head, but, at one point he's like, this conversation is riveting. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not even subtle, but it's like, this person is just like, I need you to talk to me. I'll give you all the money in the world. Like, I love you so much. And it's just like, this is a goddamn puppet. Puppet, lady. Puppet. I don't know what your...
The funniest part is it's not like Finn Balor isn't a social media active person.
Right.
He definitely has his own verified accounts everywhere.
Yeah, and it's also so funny because I have the Frozen GIF on standby because like wrestling fans are stupid, and I unfriended a lot of them. Yeah. Or unfollowed them because I'm like, I want no part of this. You're a toxic bunch of losers. I can't deal with this anymore. But it was like people would get all excited because it was like, oh, Alexa Bliss followed me and like sent me a personal message. And then it's like, the picture's Alexa Bliss. The name is Alexa Bliss. But then it's like Bliss Alexa 5876. And it's just like, I have that GIF ready where it's from Frozen. It's like, I'm going to tell him, don't you dare. Because I always send that. They're like, what do you mean? Like, what? What are you going to tell me? Because they always get pissed off and bent out of shape about it. It's just like, that's not who you think it is. Do you know who's not going to ask you for $400? Paige.
Yeah.
Like, they're not. They're just...
Here's the thing. Most people.
Most people that you don't know. Because the only type of people that are going to ask you for money are your scumbag relatives.
Yeah, definitely not a person that's gainfully employed on a nationalized televised show.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. I'm going with no. Before we go, and while we're kind of in that realm, have you watched the A&E show Hidden Treasures, WWE's Hidden Treasures?
No, but that's the Triple H one, right?
Yeah, so basically it's kind of like a storage hunter or like basically a scavenger hunt. They take WWE legends and send them out across the country looking for items from their past. And it's okay. It's cheesy as fuck, but it's okay. It's not a bad hour watch with breakfast type of thing.
Here's the thing: there's probably a ton of it because like those wrestlers aren't taken care of. Like you see these people that are like on TV and all this other crap, and you like assume that they're like all set, but it's just like, no, I bet you that Mankind or like Mick Foley at one point was so broke that he did sell the original Mr. Socko.
A lot of his were more charity, but then there are some like this week. This week it was Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm not going to go down their fucking past, but there was a moment on the show where they had found the original Greg Valentine robe, the sequence, the red one, the famous one.
Yeah, right.
And the guy who's kind of like the on location host. He's an NXT trainee or something like that. He's the guy that's making the offers. He has his budget, and he's sitting there offering this fan who has a room full of memorabilia, $15,000 for the robe, and it was the robe and the mask that Beefcake wore when he was with Hogan after his accident. And
he had like one of those orbital masks or whatever.
Yeah. So he's offering him $15,000 for this, and I'm looking and I'm just watching Beefcake and Valentine, and I'm just like, there's a tear coming down, because at the end of the episode, because these guys are not well off, by the way, these are not, this isn't like, they're not making John Cena rock money. Okay. Oh. They're working for a living. Ed Leslie was a fucking train driver before, his problems here in Boston. And, at the very end, they're looking for a pair of Greg's boots, and he has them in the closet. And he's like, here you go. And the guy goes, all right, I mean, I'll offer you like $1,000. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll take that. And then they cut away, and all I could think is, as soon as the camera stopped, he asked for $5,000.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm just like, they gave this guy $15,000 for a robe that was his.
Yeah.
And he could probably use the $15,000.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the saddest part about the whole thing is, like, they're all independent contractors, right?
Yeah.
So
and some of them seem like they're doing okay. Like the Booker T episode, it's like, okay, Booker T's doing pretty well for himself. He's working. Yeah. He's got a radio show, but you don't see Greg Valentine on WWE a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, it's definitely like the wrestlers from the 90s are more savvy, like the ones that were in the 90s and went into the 2000s and kind of got in on the social media end of stuff. But it's like, yeah, Ron Simmons, you can pay him not a lot of money to show up, get on a microphone, and go, damn! You know what I mean? And it's like, you're not doing it for the love of the game.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be traveling around the country going to these indie shows with 50 people at it.
When she's out of jail, there's many things you can pay Sonny to do.
Right. Right.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So it's like, that's...
So it was just one of those things. I'm kind of enjoying, like I said, it's a cheesy fucking show that I watch at breakfast. But I was like, oh, because again, I've seen Brutus at the Revere movie theater, like hustling people, like doing what we mentioned, like the Virgil thing. Like he was just at the bar with friends, and I happened to be on the other side of the bar. I'm like, oh, that's Brutus Beefcake. And then I see people go up and ask him for a picture, and he wouldn't take a picture. He sent a friend to the car to get an 8x10 out, and he asked them for $10 for him to sign the 8x10. And I'm like, and I get it. I get it. That's your hustle. That's your fucking thing. But watching him on this show as someone is getting $15,000 for something he owned at one time. At one time, that mask was on his face.
Yeah, right.
And now it's
crazy.
It's in this guy's fucking toy room.
Yeah. I don't know how to submit something, because a friend of mine has Killer Kowalski's Hall of Fame ring.
Well, there's got to be a way to fucking figure that out.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I would love to see Triple H.
There's got to be a guy who knows a Dijak.
Yeah, I should probably just... I mean, I could text several people.
There's a guy who knows a guy who knows a War Raider.
I'm the guy. I don't know why.
Exactly. So you just figured out your own problem there. Hey, by the way... Because that's something that they would absolutely. I mean, Jesus, he trained Triple H.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Do it. Do it. While we do this, Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Nothing else matters. For those 10 seconds or less, I'm free. Let's go for a little ride. What are you smiling about?
Dude, I almost had you.
almost had me.
Live my life a quarter mile at a time, Ed.
Yeah. It's this. So it's nuts because there are several shots in this movie that are iconic.
Yeah.
Now, whether they're definitely in Universal film hype packages,
Sure.
right? The one of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel when they pull up to the stop sign and they're going to race the Ferrari.
Yep.
That photo
because they look very handsome. The shades look cool.
Yeah. That's an iconic shot.
Smoke them.
And then at the end of the movie, when the Charger flips over the semi and flips over Paul.
That when it takes off and kind of does the wheelie as well.
Like those are iconic movie things, and it's crazy because you think Fast and the Furious, and you immediately think that we're on Fast and the Furious 9. Right, that movie's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
And it's a joke, and it's the cars flying through. But then you sit down and you watch the first one,
and you're like, a movie.
This was a movie, right. And there's the Vin Diesel winning's winning monologue is like a cinematic monologue.
Right.
That is one of those things that was it was badass at the time. And it has stood the test of time as an iconic movie moment.
There's a lot of let me just do this again. Yeah, I'm starting to twitch. The Fast and the Furious. Now we got to say the title correctly because this title has been used and repurposed a bunch. This one is The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, Fast and Furious is the fourth one.
Yes, exactly. This was released June 22nd, 2001. Had a budget of $38 million. Came back with $207.3 million at the box office. It was directed by Rob Cohen. Screenplay was by Gary Scott Thompson, Erik Bergquist, and David Ayer. Here's the funny thing I read. It was based on a 1998 Vibe magazine article by Ken Lee called Racer X about illegal street racing. We'll get back to that in a second. It stars Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, and a bunch of others that unfortunately don't show up very much in the sequels. Okay, right off the bat, based on Racer X. No, it wasn't. It was based on Point Break.
Yeah, it's Point Break. This movie is fucking Point Break.
I could picture Rob Cohen walking into the fucking studio head's office and being like, all right, Point Break, cars, Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So Point Break, not Point Break, Fast and the Furious
same movie.
is what is responsible for a lot of those update movies. We see movies after 2001 where it's we basically tell.
I don't know why every pitch meeting has to start with a big rail of Coke, but I feel it does.
Well, they absolutely do. So that's the first thing. But it's
all right,
it's
Point Break.
Point Break. But it's got to be 2001. It's got to be cool. Cars are cool.
Cars are cool.
And so but that's the thing. It's there are so many movies that are retelling of other movies in this time period that this is why. Because they're we just updated Point Break. Right. We didn't remake Point Break. We just updated it.
And while it's okay, so I haven't watched this movie. I can't remember in how long. We were supposed to do this probably 2 years ago, probably our first year doing the show. We were supposed to do this movie, and for scheduling, probably probably took a couple weeks off or whatever, and just went away. And I don't think I've watched it in probably at least 10 years.
Sure.
Like at least 10 years. I don't know when Fast 5 came out, but I'm guessing I watched it around then. Because I remember seeing Fast 5 in the theater. And I've always been kind of hot and cold on the whole franchise. Every time I sit down and watch one of the movies by itself, I really enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think it was the second and the third movie that like I watched them and I'm like they're losing me. Like I don't fucking what are we doing here? Like the nucleus of this franchise is Paul Walker, Vin Diesel. What are we doing here? And because they went off and they did Paul Walker and Tyrese, and then they did Tokyo Drift, and I lost interest, and it took a lot to get me back. It took The Rock to get me back.
So that was the thing. Like I end up growing with this. Like a lot of people talk about, kind of my sister mostly, because she's just like a little bit younger than I am, are the proper age for Toy Story, right? And you hear that like when you watch Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, and then who cares about Toy Story 4? That emotional
shots fired.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
The one with Keanu.
Yeah.
Did we find the first Keanu movie that Eddie doesn't like?
So here's the thing. I love Duke Kaboom. Duke Kaboom, fantastic. I love everything about his arc. He's fantastic. I love Keanu. The problem is that like you basically had Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 both try to like emotionally cross the finish line.
Right.
But they're both emotional. Like they're both the end. Like
I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, Toy Story 3 was the end of the story, and it was a logical end. It was a great ending.
Right.
And then they basically were like, all right, do it again.
Yeah, do the end again. And it's just like, okay, that's stupid. Anyway, so like, but my sister was Andy's age.
Gotcha.
So like those, and like there's a lot of people you saw it kind of happen online where it was just like the emotional touchstone of Andy throughout those films works. And like, I am 1000% the target audience from these Fast and the Furious movies when they came out. I was like 14 when the first one came out. I was 16 by the time Tokyo Drift came out. I was 21 when Fast 5 came out. You know what I mean? So like when they got increasingly absurd and I could drink alcohol to watch these movies, they got exponentially better.
Right.
Like I saw Fast and the Furious. I saw Fast 5 3 times in theaters. Only 1 time sober.
Wow.
But because I went Lux level and got hammered each time. But it's like, I love these movies. I absolutely love these movies. One, I love Keanu Reeves so much that the Point Break reference just gets me there. Like, look, Paul Walker, if you could potentially be Keanu Reeves reincarnated, even though Keanu Reeves is still alive and actually more alive than Paul Walker, then like...
There's that.
Yeah, yikes. But
you don't have to live the gimmick, pal. Oh, what?
Yikes, I know, huh?
Yikes.
But, you know...
What is the accent he's doing in this movie?
Oh, he's...
I forgot he did an accent in this movie, and I'm watching it like, what the fuck is he doing in this movie?
Canadian surfer. It's Keanu.
But he's supposed to be from Arizona.
Yeah, but he's trying to do Keanu.
Do Arizonans have accents that sound like that? Like, what was he doing?
Again, everybody in this movie...
Because he looked like he should have just been a Southern California guy.
Yeah.
Which he is.
Everybody in this movie, with the exception of Vin Diesel twice, knew exactly what movie they were in. Vin Diesel decided he wanted to act twice in this movie.
Well, this is a funny thing, because it's one of the weird mental things that you have to do when watching a movie like this, because it's almost like you have to mentally time travel to a point where Vin Diesel wasn't a brand.
Right.
Like this, I believe, came out even before Triple X. Like I think this was our introduction to Vin Diesel.
Yeah, it was it's either this or Pitch Black. One or the other. Like they came out back to back. So the movies in his catalog.
Let's see. He had done a few. So Pitch Black came out. Okay. The year before. Also, Boiler Room came out the year before, which he was a major part of. However, he was very much an actor at this point. Right. You know, like he was he was acting. He wasn't like Vin Diesel, putting his name in 2001 when Fast and the Furious came out. It was Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, right? Yeah. It wasn't like you put his name on a poster, he's going to sell tickets, because he wasn't at that level.
Nobody in this movie was a star.
No, absolutely not. I would say probably, and I forget what else she had done. I think she had done some TV. I think probably Jordana Brewster was the most known person in the cast at the time. But even to the point that like he had done the movie Knockaround Guys before this, and it had been shelved for, I think he did it like 2 years prior.
Yeah.
And it had been shelved. And because of the success of this and Pitch Black, they were like, okay, now we can sell this movie because Vin Diesel's in it. And it wasn't like he was the only one. It had, a number of other actors in it.
Seth Green's in it.
Seth Green and Battlefield Earth.
Oh, yeah.
I could just open the goddamn IMDb. I'm looking right at what the hell is his name? Come on. Dennis Hopper was in it. Barry Pepper.
Yeah, right.
Barry Pepper. Yeah, Malkovich. So, it had people. So it's one of those movies that when you hear it was shelved for 2 years is kind of surprising because, like, you could have sold it on Malkovich and Dennis Hopper probably.
Right.
You could have at least put it in theaters. But yeah, so in 2002, the year later, he does Triple X. And once he did Triple X, I think he kind of knew what he was as a brand, as an actor. It was one of those, like, because then you start reading, it's like, oh, he's just going down Chronicles of Riddick. He's doing
Man Apart.
Man Apart. That was actually a better movie than it should have been.
The problem is like Man Apart is one of those unfortunate movies that you see Fast and the Furious, Pitch Black, Triple X, Chronicles of Riddick, which are all these like big bloated action movies that when you get to a Man Apart, which is like slower and like more character driven, you're like, oh, this isn't what I wanted. It's like when everybody was mad at that Liam Neeson movie where he didn't punch the wolves.
I forget what that was.
But the whole thing was,
I know what you're talking about. But like I would say Man Apart is closer to like a Training Day type of movie. It's that more grounded in reality type of, rogue cop drama type of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's weird because there were moments in this like 2 year period, even Knockaround Guys, he was fucking good in. And it's like Vin Diesel was like a good actor in a certain range.
Sure.
Like,
it's the same thing I talk about with Keanu, right? Where it's like, if you ask Keanu to do the Keanu stuff, his movies are 9 times out of 10 very good, right? But when you ask him to be British in Bram Stoker's Dracula, it is awful because you ask this man to play wide receiver when he's an outside linebacker. Like, that's what, and it's the same thing where it's like, I forget did he do the pacifier?
He did one of those.
He did one of those type of movies where he was like a CIA nanny.
Yeah, it was the pacifier. I was figuring out if it was Pacifier or Tooth Fairy. I knew one was The Rock and one was him.
Yeah,
Pacifier was him. And it's like I said, like there was that period where he was actually acting.
Right.
and I know it's fucked up to say, but like he was, he had a small role in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He did a movie. I'm trying to find where he Find Me Guilty is a super underrated movie where he was like a mob boss on trial type of thing. And again, staying within the wheelhouse. He's not going too far out of his wheelhouse, but he's able to act. And the reason I keep like emphasizing that is I don't think he's acting anymore. Especially in these Fast and the Furious and Pitch Black franchises. It's just he's his brand. It's basically him and The Rock are very parallel to each other because they both figured out how to make a fuck ton of money being themselves, basically.
Right. It's the idea because like Tom Hanks is an actor. Exactly. Right? You hire Tom Hanks to be an actor in your movie. Right. And then you hire The Rock or Vin Diesel to be a movie star. Right. I want The Rock. I've hired The Rock, and The Rock is coming to do The Rock things. Right. I don't need you to actually emote and like bring drama to the scene and like give this character life. Same thing with Vin Diesel. No, Vin, I need you to scowl I need you to say family 5 times, and I need you to just grunt while this car CGI flips on a wrecking ball or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need anything. But again, like the flip side is like, for the bonkers nonsense that this Fast 9 is going to have with John Cena as his brother, like, it's going to be absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
The winning's winning monologue
from the first one
is like, and it's like, I was watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can now sit here some 20 years later and be like, oh no, this is one of the top film monologues of all time.
Right.
You know, like, on the waterfront, I'm going to be a contender. Give him an offer he can't refuse. Sure. Like, it's with those, you know, like.
I think I know the reason that, like, this movie in particular, because again, the franchise goes off the fucking rails. This is actually a movie. Like, this is an actual movie with a plot. The plot is Point Break, but still, it's a plot. They haven't gone off the rails yet. And I think the reason it's not looked at with higher regard isn't the rest of the franchise, but the 2001 soundtrack that's on this movie.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, when you kick off with fucking Limp Bizkit, you know what era you're in, right?
Yeah.
And it's so over the top, like this era. It's that techno, but butt rock as well. And it's just fucking, it's like, oh, okay, we are very much in 2001. And as someone who is 21 years old, then it's like, yes, this is it. The hair, the clothes, the neon cars, the fucking the Limp Bizkit. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe leave everything else. Maybe update the music to less like adrenaline inducing, and maybe it's like just taken up one more notch as like franchise is absurd, but that first movie. You know what I mean? Because that you don't hear that
like
very
Rocky.
Often. Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly. It was actually a film. You know, you made a film and then you made money. And I get it. I fucking get it. And there are 9 movies with one spin-off, and like there was a fucking TV series that I didn't know about. Did you know about that one?
Well, are you talking about Fastlane, which is basically inspired?
No. I liked Fastlane actually.
I did too. It's really sad because that show was very popular. It was just too expensive to make for Fox.
Yep. And you can't find it anywhere streaming. Pisses me off. Like that again, that was a time capsule. That was like super like 2001, 2002
It's
TV
also
show.
so unfortunate because you literally captured the lightning in the bottle of this franchise at the beginning and then just weren't able to continue it.
Okay, so I clicked on the IMDb because it was it's actually running now on Netflix. It's Fast and the Furious Spy Racers. It's a kids animated show.
Oh, okay, never mind.
However, there is 32 episodes of it. I guess it's been running since 2019 and is still running to this day.
Good for them.
But okay, I didn't know you brought it to my attention, and when I was looking through the Wikipedia, found out that there was another one that they did the short films, basically telling you where Paul Walker was before Too Fast, Too Furious, and then telling where Vin Diesel was before Fast 4.
So this was a thing that like Vin Diesel movies had that were like, I don't know if he was a part of it, but it kind of, because he wasn't really in Too Fast, Too Furious, but a lot of Vin Diesel movies have these ancillary prequel things, right? So Too Fast, Too Furious, there is a prequel that's on the DVD. It was on the DVD originally, and it was on the Blu-ray that I have that explains, because spoiler for the end of the fucking movie that's 20 years old, Paul Walker lets Vin Diesel go at the end.
Yes.
And then when we meet up with him at the beginning of Too Fast, Too Furious, he's a fugitive street racer in Miami.
Right.
And so it bridges that gap, and basically what ends up happening is he leaves his badge on his hotel room, or at his apartment, and he basically street races across as a fugitive. It's like, it's an 8-minute short film, but he street races across the country and ends up in Miami. Gotcha. And then and then here we are. Chronicles of Riddick has
so that one is called, and I swear to God, this is the actual title of what we just described, the turbocharged prelude for Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes. But that was a big selling point for the DVD. I remember that because I when I bought the DVD, they were like, that was a huge selling point of like prequel, like short to, Too Fast, Too Furious. There's also one for Fast and Furious, which is the fourth film, because Vin Diesel escapes, he leaves. He's not in Too Fast, Too Furious. Right. He's not in Tokyo Drift. Mm-hmm. Tokyo Drift is, he's not in it for 99% of the movie, and then shows up inexplicably for no fucking reason at the end. Right. And then he's in the fourth one. And it's like, what were you doing in Tokyo? And
so the short film for the fourth one was co-written and directed by Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
It's called Los Bandoleros, which is Spanish for the Outlaws. And yeah, it basically catches us up to speed with Dominic Toretto. Let's see. He goes to Dominican Republic. Of course, there's a lot of him working on his car. It's a 20-minute long. This one's 20 minutes.
Yeah. The prelude to Too Fast, Too Furious is only like 6 minutes.
Yeah, and it's quite like, it looks like, at least as far as the Wikipedia page, that they put a lot more effort into this one, because the other one only lists Paul Walker as a character, and I'm guessing it's basically just him racing across the country. This one has Michelle Rodriguez. It has like a few. It has new characters, old characters.
Yeah,
it sounds like a Prison Break, basically.
So like, if you look at the franchise, Paul Walker goes on his adventure in Too Fast, Too Furious. It's where we meet Tyrese and Ludacris, who will come back in Fast 5. Yeah. And then nobody is in, like I said, until Vin Diesel shows up at the end. The only other person is Han. Yeah. And he's the only one that shows up in Tokyo Drift. They also did the weirdest thing with the Tokyo Drift movie, because it's so elseworldy, that they like picked it up and like kept pushing it down the timeline. Yep. So like you see it where like it happens, and then we start with Fast and Furious, the fourth one, and Han's there, but he died in the third one, and then he's in Fast 5 too, and then the creators were like, look, here's the deal. Tokyo Drift just kind of happens in the future, and there's a line in it at the end when they're all like going their separate ways at the end of Fast 5, where his girlfriend asks him like, hey, where do you want to go to Tokyo, or like something along those lines, and he's like, we'll get there eventually. Like he dismisses it, and then he's in so that they could just keep having him in movies, because
Statham really killed him at the end in a post-credit scene of one of them, right?
Yeah, and now he's back because he didn't kill him or something. Like, I don't know. It's bad shit.
Well, the cast kind of went all pro wrestling on Twitter when Hobbs and Shaw were coming out, because Hobbs and Shaw obviously turned Statham into a good guy, but the cast acted like Han was a real person and was like, this is bullshit. You can't make this movie, with the hashtag literally justice for Han. And it's like, what? It's like, what is... Like this, like Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel and all were taking to Twitter being like, you can't make this movie. I'm just like, you're just mad that The Rock is stealing your franchise. Like, that's all there is to it. You're just pissed off that The Rock is stealing your franchise.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my favorite things about this is that this film franchise got its second wind at movie 5. Right. Like, to be fair, like movies 2 and 3 are like nonsense, right? They were just sequels to make sequels, more so Tokyo Drift than Too Fast, Too Furious. They really tried. They tried to bring in Tyrese to like replace Vin Diesel, because Vin Diesel wanted to do Chronicles of Riddick instead, which why you didn't just figure that out is stupid. Right. But then I remember Fast 4, Fast and Furious, where that was the selling point. The selling point was that all of them are coming back together. They're
Right.
all coming back together. It's the original cast. I'm like, all right, I'm going to check this out. It's
Sure.
a good movie. The whole thing is that, Letty had died doing something illegal. They get recruited by the government to like go undercover to like solve crime. And
Yeah, the I think that one of the weird crutches of this franchise is always the fake out death.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, that's the thing.
Letty's back and she's alive. It's like,
And her memory is gone.
really? Is that
No.
what that's what
Well,
we're
that's
doing?
what I'm thinking happened to Han. I think Han's
Yeah,
still alive.
Yes.
Like his,
Well, yeah, because doesn't he show up in the trailer with the John Cena one?
yeah.
And
So
it's like, hey, what's up, guys? It's like, no,
I thought you were dead. No,
you can throw a car through the air with your arm, but goddamn it, he's dead.
I'm pretty sure that not Vin Diesel, John Cena catches a car in the trailer of Fast 9. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what happens. The Rock at some point.
There is no rules.
Oh, there's no rules, but it's the best part because it's a soap opera. It is a testosterone soap opera. It's what it is.
I know we're bouncing movie to movie, but whatever. This franchise is bonkers. Like in Hobbs and Shaw, when The Rock is on the back of the fucking tow truck that fucking Roman Reigns is driving, and he literally pulls a helicopter down with his arm. Like, okay, the only other time I've really seen that in recent
Captain
movies, Captain America. Guess what? Captain America's a super soldier. This guy's just supposed to be a guy.
Dude. And here's the thing. You have the bananas storyline of like robotic Idris Elba or something. Like, it's nonsense. But it's like, I absolutely love it because the movies ask nothing. They ask nothing of you. And that's the best part because like people just like, look, we watch a lot of movies, right? We watch a lot of movies, a lot of good ones, more bad ones. But, some movies you have to sit and pay attention to, like Parasite. Parasite was fantastic, but it's in a foreign language. You got to read. There's a lot of people talking about stuff, and like, there's not action. You aren't watching what's happening. You have to hear what's happening, and so it's like that movie takes a lot of investment, right? But when Vin Diesel decides to like jump out of an airplane with a car and skydive with a car, you know what I mean? It's just like, look, I don't need to pay attention. No. I'm just watching it, and it's somehow captured. It somehow just captured the people. Like,
I mean, it's not that hard to understand. I mean, it's like you said, it's a turn your brain off action movie, and it's one of those things. Like, it's become a franchise, so you automatically have the built-in audience. We see how it's why people make movies now. Between Marvel and fucking stuff, basically everything Disney's doing is built off of the back of the Fast and the Furious type of movie making. I mean, Jesus Christ, I saw a set photo. Indiana Jones is back on set now. Fucking Harrison Ford is back in the fedora. It's like, here comes another franchise. How long are we going to do this? So yeah, I get it because they make easy money. It's the reason that they've pushed a lot of movies off because the pandemic, all the movie theaters closing. You got I saw it, and the only reason I know this is all happening on the same weekend is because I saw an article. Stallone released the date for the Rocky IV director's cut. It's going to get a theatrical run, and it's going to come out in November of this year. Okay. And it's the same exact weekend that the Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and Top Gun Maverick are all supposed to come out on the same weekend.
I am going to live at the movie theater.
I'm going to live at the movie theater. It's like, oh, so I can go see Ghostbusters, Rocky, Top Gun, and a new Marvel movie. Sure. Yeah, take my weekend.
Sure. God.
But yeah, so it's like these movies they make bank. That's the fact, and it's for me. On a like, it's weird. It's very
and they're PG-13.
And they're PG-13, and we can talk about that in a second because I have a theory on this movie a little bit. But it's like my brain works in a kind of a hypocritical way when I think about these types of this type of filmmaking. The filmmaking basically for corporate profit.
Sure.
The franchise type of filmmaking like this. Like you said, they're not putting a shitload of effort into these fucking stories. It's like, all right, especially now with CGI. I mean, we don't even need to wreck cars.
Right.
We put a guy. I mean, we talked about it last week on Army of the Dead. Tig Notaro was completely added months after filming, and it's seamless. They added the entire city of Las Vegas and didn't need to fucking actually
they shot in Jersey.
Yes. They shot on green screens. Like I watched it. It was like a 14-minute. It was basically a montage of all the green screen special effects. It's on YouTube. Just go to Netflix YouTube channel, and it was amazing. They literally were standing around big green boxes, and they just added Las Vegas, and they added zombies, and they blew up Las Vegas, and they blew up zombies, and they made a tiger eat a guy's head, and it's like this is what we're doing. And now with Fast and Furious, it's like, yeah, we don't need to even wreck a car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I go back to, I think back to like, I always remember because in the DVD extras of Bad Boys 2, they had the car that Will Smith was driving was this super rare, super expensive car. And they had like a hero car. And I know you understand what that means, but the hero car is basically like the actual car that's used for close-ups. It's not to be touched.
It's the one that Will Smith is actually driving.
Well, he's not even driving it.
Oh, yeah.
That car gets towed, dropped, and just set, and you can take pretty pictures of it. The interiors are a different stunt car. So there was a shot where they had the hero car, which is the actual expensive rare car, and Martin Lawrence pops out of the passenger seat and slams the door into a fucking cement pillar and does his line. His line's like, "What's up, motherfucker?" And you can hear one of the you can hear Michael Bay off camera go, "You just bit the fucking car!" Like super pissed. So of course in the third one they spoofed that by actually having him do it in the movie. But like they don't even have to worry about that anymore. Just we need to throw a car off a building. Cool. All right. Done. A couple of keystrokes and you're fucking done.
Yeah. Well, that was like for the Justice League stuff. They talked about the quote unquote reshoots.
Right.
Most of them were just CGI. Like
I heard most of them were like done in driveways.
Yeah, like they either did it like if they needed the physical actor, they just like popped up a green screen in like and had Ben Affleck stand in front of it, and then they just popped him into the scene later. Yep. Like that was it. So it's just like
that whole nightmare scene was shot.
Yeah,
that's how that was shot. Like him and Leto were never in the same room together.
Right. You know, so it's like. Yeah, these movies are great. You know, the other thing too is that they're a necessary evil, right? And I don't even want to say evil because, like, at the end of the day, like, you make movies to make money, right? Like, there's art, there's the art, and then there's the like we're making movies to have fun, right? And this falls in the latter camp, and it's like. The Fast 9
the second you want someone to see your work, you're doing it for money.
Right.
If you were doing it for the love of it, you would go make the movie and then you would go make another movie and you'd go make another movie. You just keep making movies. You wouldn't give a shit if anybody ever saw them. The fact that we want people to see our art, whatever that form is, means we want to get paid to do this.
Yeah, 100%. But like the thing is that Fast 9, and I don't think that they're the same studio at all, but like Fast 9 is going to fund the next, and I always fuck up his name, Bong Joon-ho.
Yep.
It's going to fund his next movie.
Sure,
now maybe he's a bad example because like at this point he's made enough movies that people are just going to give him the money to make the movies. But like somebody like that, like in order to get the studio to give you the money to make Parasite,
right?
Fast 9 needs to come out and make $1 billion.
Right. Of course.
You know, like that's the thing that people, you know, like Vin Diesel, in order to make A Man Apart, needs to do the sequel to he needs to do Chronicles of Riddick.
Well, they jokingly explained it. They had Affleck explain it in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's like, you know, or it was Matt Damon in that one. It's like, oh, you got to do the art house one, and then you got to do the serious one, but then you do the friendship one or the guy who owes you one, and then you got to do the studio one just to pay for the art house one. It's like,
right.
the machine keeps rolling. Yeah, I get it. If if you have this passion project and you go to a studio with it, they're like, okay, great. Well, you're Matt Damon, so you're gonna have to be in Thor Ragnarok in order to do this.
Yeah, we'll give you the money.
We'll give you money, but you got to put your name on this.
Yeah, you gotta be in this, piece of crap.
Which he is in the fucking new Thor.
Yeah.
Because he was playing the theater version of Loki in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And then he was seen on set of Love and Thunder in the same fucking getup. So somehow they're doing dinner theater with Loki type shit.
I can't wait.
That movie's going to be bananas.
Yeah. Taika is fantastic.
So before we wrap up, this movie, watching it, and I haven't done any research on it, but just watching it, it felt like it was an R-rated movie that got edited down for PG-13. And there's hard PG-13 movies, but this one felt like they were definitely manipulating certain scenes, and there was, it felt like there was an R-rated version of this movie that exists somewhere that nobody ever talks about. Yes,
100%. You can hear it in some of the ADR. There's one line in this movie that ages horribly, and it's when Vince attacks is about to attack Paul Walker.
Yeah, it's basically their first scene together.
Yeah, and it's like that line
calls him the F word, not fuck.
Yeah, the gay slur.
Yes.
And so like it's not cool. There's also a scene where like after the street race and like the stuff with Johnny Tran, who I hope if they're going to like retcon people's deaths, I hope he doesn't die, because I want to see how that villain exists in this world with John Cena Super Soldier.
Am I wrong? Johnny Tran is like one of the worst gangsters ever. Like, I didn't understand. That was another part that I didn't really understand. We'll get back to the R-rated thing in a second. Because like all of a sudden, Paul Walker and Vin Diesel just find themselves on his turf for his neighborhood, and they act like he's God. Like if you even look at him in the eyes, he will strike you down dead. And then all of a sudden they're at the street race thing in the desert, and Vin Diesel just hauls off and punches him because he calls him a rat. And it's like, wait a minute, there needs to be rules here. Johnny Tran is either the biggest gangster alive that he's the untouchable, or he's like a mid-level guy that you can punch. It's like that fucking, I forget what mob movie it was, but it was Departed. It was Departed. Yeah. It's like there's guys you can hit and there's guys you can't hit. And I'm not saying that's not a guy you can hit, but what are the rules,
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so like, it also happens with Vin Diesel too, a little bit. His what do you call it? His like status.
His myth, I guess. Like, there's parts of it where he is like Johnny Tran. He's the biggest criminal ever. And then there's parts of it like he's just nothing. Like, okay, so when after the street race, he's walking away, some fucking uniformed cop in the cruiser is like, Toretto. It's like, no, fucking no.
Yeah. Yeah. You're looking for people in cars. You're not
a notorious like celebrity criminal.
Right. That's the thing. Is like
he's stealing DVD players.
Yeah. Yes. And God. That's the funniest thing, is that this entire franchise, where they're gonna like destroy London or something in this movie, and like it started with 4 assholes stealing and selling DVD players and camcorders.
$6 million in DVD players and camcorders.
Yeah.
I openly laughed.
Piccadilly Square.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you should have just let him have the DVD players, so then we wouldn't have the people. Like, it's definitely that like weird Avengers effect that they have, where they're like, yeah, if these assholes in superhero cars didn't exist, then we wouldn't have these crazy supervillains, because everything basically feels like a revenge at this point. Like, everybody wants revenge on somebody for doing something. I don't know.
It's just funny to hear in 2021 when at this point, $6 million worth of DVD players and camcorders, you would need to fill the Grand Canyon with DVD players and camcorders to make $6 million. It's not 4 trucks.
No, it's not 4 trucks. But so now this was the thing I wanted to bring up because you talked about the R-rated thing. Yes. It feels like
I feel there was quite a bit of nudity cut out of the race scenes.
Yeah, definitely.
They cheated around a lot of that.
And when Toretto and Brian show up at the house after they meet up with Johnny Tran, his sister is like in the window, and she just like straight up takes her top off in the mirror. And we don't see tits because like she has a bunch of stuff at the bottom of the mirror. But there has to be a version of that where all that stuff is gone and you can see her clits. You can see her tits.
I mean, I don't know if it's that type of movie.
No, it's not that type of movie. But you don't watch American Dad, do you?
I mean, I've seen it. Yeah.
So there's a thing in American Dad where Roger and Steve, the son, find the next script to Fast and the Furious, and basically it's a Fast and the Furious movie, except for it's also like there's a ton of scenes that make it like a super hardcore gay movie. and so they end up going to a movie studio, and I forget whether they're trying to like pitch it or fix it or be like, what the hell? And they talk to the movie executive and they're like, oh yeah, this is how all of the Fast and the Furious movies are made.
I think I have seen that episode.
They're hardcore gay porn, and we let him shoot all of it.
All of it.
They shoot all of it because that's the process, and then we just cut out that stuff, and the movie is a Fast and the Furious movie.
It's hilarious.
And it's funny because having seen that, like that episode of American Dad, and then rewatching this movie, I'm like, man, there is so much subtext that is just like, because there's no reason why Brian should be given Vin Diesel the pass. Like,
no. Besides the fact that it happened in Point Break, I can't think of any of them.
It happened in Point Break, but it's just
also Brian's character. Like, I don't know. Like, how many years has he been going and getting tuna sandwiches? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's in love with this girl real fucking quick. And I get it. It's a movie. We got to get to the car racing type of stuff. But like, you know, we don't have time for silliness like, you know, plot and backstory. But like, it feels super new. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it feels like he's been showing up for maybe a few days to a week, especially the way Vince reacts. It's like, all right, pal, you've been doing this for about a week now. Fuck off.
Yeah, well, I forget. They say it. It's like, at most, it's been 3 weeks.
Okay.
At most.
That's super new, and I don't know. Like, he saves Vin Diesel a hell of a lot more than Vin Diesel saves him, and he does that so that Vin Diesel will trust him. But you're still doing cop shit, and, like, I don't know.
At no point...
I agree that none of it's earned.
Yeah, well, because there isn't that scene that shows that Vin Diesel is like doing it for a noble purpose. You know what I mean? Like there's no thing where it's just like, yeah, he's stealing $6 million in DVD players and camcorders, but he also like secretly rebuilt this school. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing. It's just
the only real redemption thing or softening, I guess, of the criminal that is Dominic Toretto is because the whole basis of Paul Walker's boss for how evil of a person Toretto is the fact that he beat a man to death with a wrench. The story of why he beat that guy down, that kind of softens that blow. Like, oh, he's not a psychopath. It was a juvenile emotional rage. He just saw his father die. This guy was mechanic, etc. Okay, that part makes sense. But
after that, yeah.
But you're stealing millions and millions of dollars simply to fund drag racing?
Yeah, you're just
to buy parts from Japan?
That's it. That's
you're
what
a dick. Work for a living, motherfucker.
Yeah, you own a garage, and like you're not trying to get enough money to like be able to be allowed back on the circuit or whatever. Like, there's no.
I don't get it. I just don't like. That's the other thing. Like a lot of, and again, it's not that type of movie, but I feel there's a lot of backstory, especially with Vin Diesel's character, because the garage owner that Paul Walker works for, he makes that comment that like if Dominic races, all the kids are in the next week buying the same parts that were on his car. Like he's a celebrity or something like that. And I feel there was like they yada his celebrity part of racing too quickly. Like he was a pro racer that got banned because of the murder. And
the guy's not even dead.
Not dead, but the beating or whatever the fuck. And now he's like this infamous street racer. Right. Which still doesn't explain the police knowing him, the beat cop knowing him, because it wasn't like a detective that's been working on the Dominic Toretto case.
Again, he was also on foot.
He's on foot. It's the midnight shift cop. Unfortunately, it's like I'm gonna bring a little bit of reality into this. That guy doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Well,
he's hoping he doesn't see somebody.
Right. And in reality, it's the funny thing is like that CinemaSins when like somebody answers a question as they enter a room and it's just like, oh, they never would have been able to hear that. Right. And it's the same thing where it's like he turns the corner and like pulls up his jacket as the guy's going by. Yeah. And so he would have seen him from behind.
Sure.
And he wouldn't have thrown the car into reverse in like a skidding U-turn because he thought he saw the guy that they were looking for, maybe.
And they weren't even looking for him. They were looking for street racers, not Dominic Toretto.
Right.
And he called them out by name. That was the problem. It was like.
Right. Also, here's the thing. Here's the reality of that situation where it's like, oh, you have nothing. When as soon as you say, I'm here, I'm arresting you for street racing. Oh, while I'm on foot, I'm on you
it's like
picked me up.
Fucking Lethal Weapon 3 where they pulled the guy over for jaywalking. He's like, you got a license? I wasn't driving. I was walking. I'm gonna shoot him.
Yeah, right. It's the same thing where it's just like, I'm sorry, you're arresting me for drag racing while I'm walking.
How's that work?
How does that work?
I don't have a car.
I don't have a car. I don't have a car on me. I have car keys, and I have a car later. You don't even know what car you were looking for.
Jesus Christ. It's like that again. It was that they were trying to obviously build the mythology of Dominic Toretto as this known person,
right?
Whether he was known for criminal or known for racing. They were trying to build him as known, and the problem was it only occurred at the convenient times. Like the rest of the time, he's just a mechanic in a garage.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's, some underground racer that's getting, sponsored by NAS or whatever the fuck. It's like he's a dude running a garage who has to steal to pay for his parts. That's not how the mythical guy would be living.
Right, and it also feels like Race Wars is this like really legitimate thing.
Definitely feels like X Games for cars.
Yeah, it's
like there should be ESPN cameras and
right,
fucking Gatorade sponsors and stuff, or whatever the kids drink these days. I don't even fucking know. Rockstar energy drink, maybe, I don't know.
Because it feels
Limp
like
Bizkit would be live on stage.
Right. Yeah, Warped Tour would be happening while we're there. You know what I mean? But it's like. Because all of it's side bets.
Well, also you got like 1,000 people gathering in one location, and they're all hindered on one guy with a fucking CB radio, hoping to hear the cop signal. It's like, really, a police scanner, whatever the fuck. But it's like, really, you guys all gathered here, and this could all be fucked up if there isn't a murder happening. Because that's what sets it off. He's like, oh, got a 187 at a gas station. We're good to go. It's like, what?
Yeah, right.
This is like a big deal.
Yeah. You closed down like 8 blocks.
People plan for this all year and you're hoping that there's a murder? I know it's Los Angeles. Come on.
So, I don't know. It's
it's a hoot and a holler. And
it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Soundtrack aside, it's a good fucking movie.
Yeah. It's
And
really good.
and if you can turn your brain off or just turn it back to 2001, it's a good movie all around.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm gonna be watching the rest of them. I can't wait because I don't know if I showed it yet, but I bought all of them. I bought them all on Blu-ray.
I love how I'm influencing you.
Oh God, you're a terrible person. You're a terrible person, but I've started buying Blu-rays. But it's because I have missed the bonus stuff, right? Because like Disney Plus does an okay job of it, putting in some of the stuff, but they don't have all of the DVD commentary and all the extras and stuff like that. Like
shit that we like.
Right. It's not on there. Why it's so? I was talking to Bill of a couple of Park Hoppers, which if you like theme park content, you should definitely follow them. But we were talking about Universal, and I'm like, Universal Studios breaks my heart because they don't own 90% of the property in their theme parks in Orlando.
Right.
Because Superhero Island, Seuss Landing, and
Simpsons,
Harry Potter, Simpsons, like none of that is theirs.
It's all owned by Disney.
Yeah, I don't even think that they own the Minions. I want to say Illuminations, Warner Brothers too.
Yeah, I think so.
Whoever,
because Illuminations was part of DreamWorks for a minute. I know DreamWorks got sold to somebody. I don't know. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm not going down the rabbit hole, but I think that by like association, I think it's Warner Brothers, and then like all of those, I think those comics are like Dudley Do-Right is like public domain at this point. Like Popeye and Dudley Do-Right's public domain.
Right.
And it's just like all you have is like these, like you have like Fast and the Furious, like that's your franchise, and it's not on Peacock. Why are those movies not on Peacock?
Their movies, that was a thing, because when I finished watching the first one, I wanted to go watch the fourth one. One you cannot find. Despite the fact Google says it's on Peacock, when you click on it, it kicks you off to Fast 5. And they have Fast 5 and Fast 6 on Peacock. They have 1, 2, 3 and Hobbs and Shaw on HBO Max.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can rent 4. You can buy or rent 4 digitally places.
Yeah.
I don't know where 7 or 8 is. I don't know. I'm sure they're fucking somewhere, or they're not. I honestly don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that's something like the more the studios get into their proprietary streaming services, they really need to, like, I get it, licensing, money, it is what it is.
Sure.
And I'm going to bitch about it till I'm blue in the face. But it's one of those things, like, if you're going to have these things, like, they should all be in one place. Like, there should come a time where if a streaming service wants to buy the license to Fast and the Furious, they have to take all 9 films.
Yeah, right.
Like that again, I'm asking studios to book for me personally, but you're
100% right.
That way, it to me in my head that would sound like a good marketing thing. We have every Fast and the Furious movie, because this is one of those franchises that when a new movie comes out, I see a lot of people online like doing like fucking watch along parties. Like people, I've known personal people who have had full blown day-long parties. Like we've done the marathons of Star Wars and Marvel when theaters were a thing. No, they do them in their house. Like they invite like 30 people over and just do a day-long Fast and the Furious thing, and people are coming, people are going, people are falling asleep, drinking and it's like a good fucking day. So if there was a streaming service that had them all, you could really kind of corner that market when new movies come out, and these are things that come out every other year now.
It's even simpler, right? Like I bought all of them. On Blu-ray, I bought, and I guess that's ultimately what you want, maybe. But it's like I bought them because I wanted to watch them before I went and saw the new one.
Right.
And this was the easiest way for me to see all of them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's like you would have had people sign up for Peacock,
or
upgraded to the paid Peacock if they weren't already. And you would have been able to do that if they were all there.
Sure. But I think also from a studio selling movies point of view, They are the bundle that you have is available to buy. I know you have the digital copies with your Blu-ray. You can buy them digitally. I think I actually looked because I was looking for the fourth one. You can. I think it's like $54 for just the digital 8-pack of them. So I think the studios probably would prefer that. That's why you see stuff like stuff will come out on digital and then physical like a month later because they want to. Because again, I've talked to my brother a lot about this because he also collects physical media, and it's always annoying when a movie that we want to see comes out on digital, knowing that it's going to come out a month later with the digital copy. It's like I'm not going to fucking buy it and then spend, because I want the Blu-ray. The one I'm dealing with is The Unholy. The Unholy comes out on Blu-ray on June 22nd, and it's going to have a digital copy, and it's already available to buy digitally. But you can't rent it. So you got to pay $20 to buy it digitally now, or wait till, 2 more weeks and then get the Blu-ray with the digital copy. And that's obviously what I'm going to do. But for the studios, it's obviously a cost cutting measure because if they can push people to digital, that means they have to manufacture less discs.
Right.
All they got to do, it costs the studio zero money for you to click buy on a digital copy and watch it on your streaming fucking thing.
Yeah.
They've already uploaded the movie. It's one copy uploaded and just shared everywhere.
Yeah. It's passive income.
Right, exactly. They don't have to create a disc, they don't have to create a box, they don't have to ship it. None of that shit. None of that.
Pay for it.
Exactly. Yeah. But that is way too nerdy for us to wrap up. What are we doing next week? Because I think that's Fast and the Furious.
That is Fast and Furious. Here's the thing. I was going to just suggest we keep rolling with this train, but I feel like we covered all of the Fast and Furious movies in this.
Well, I figured we'd get started on this because you were going to do your own thing. I felt.
I am.
Okay.
I am going to be watching and kind of reviewing each one of the individuals. So
okay.
So
keep an eye on at the Eddie McCabe for your reviews of the rest
I guess the question would be: do we want to do a good movie or a bad movie?
Well, would you have options of either?
I do have options. I recently purchased on Blu-ray The Godfather.
Okay.
And so if we wanted to do a good movie, we could do The Godfather. I also was talking to somebody about Casino.
We've done that one.
We've done Casino.
We've done Casino. Did you buy The Godfather or The Godfather trilogy?
I just bought The Godfather.
Okay. All right. Because I was going to say we should do Godfather 3.
Well, the Coda just got released.
I have Coda. Yeah, I bought Coda.
And so then the bad movie.
The
bad movie is Kung Pao Enter the Fist. It came out around the same time as Fast and the Furious. It came out in 2002.
I know the name.
It is the movie. It's the movie that is a kung fu movie, but the actor is American, and they digitally inserted him into this real life kung fu movie.
All right, let's see. Where is this playing here? Is this?
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Let's do Kung Pao. Fuck it. This is what happens again. Let's do Kung Pao. All right, next week, Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I can already tell Eddie is very happy about this.
This is one of my favorite movies.
I have never actually seen it. I recognize the box, the cover art, but I've actually never sat down and watched it. So Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, available on Hulu for you to play at home. Thank you for joining us on That Movie Show for Fast and the Furious. You can follow us on social media at Mike Wendt, at the Eddie McCabe, hashtag That Movie Show. The website is thatmovieshow.net. The Facebook is facebook.com/thatmovieshowtv. And you can use any of those channels to recommend or suggest anything for us to review. Because as you see, we really don't make plans until the very end of these episodes on what we're doing next week. So we will see you next week. Once again, thank you for joining us. We're available on any and all podcasting apps, of course. Hit subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you next week for Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Bye, everybody.
Hooey Valley, Hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be